wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a town.
Hello and welcome listeners to another episode of Tactical Awareness. It is Season 2, Episode 5. And I am fresh back from Halifax in this one. As you were about to hear, I am completely shot. I have lost my voice from talking at a convention for 4 days. And I leave this one to Owen and Dan. So it's another, I guess, 77 minutes of freedom as they take us through the mailbag, talk about what's new, and get us, I guess, going on more projects for ITS Season 15. So let's dive in, see how everyone's doing, and get this underway. Because, yeah, my voice is rough. How's it going?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, it sound good.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I'm back from Halifax, everybody. I was just telling Dan that I haven't done a lot of Infinity stuff this week because I couldn't get anyone to play Halifax. I couldn't get anyone to play Infinity with me. So I made an Infinity table in Halifax from stuff from the dollar store. And then bullied Mike Keane from Brush Night Painting to play me with his JSA. So I did get a game in this week, which was great. I played Direct Action Annihilation. I basically taught Mike to play Infinity. He'd painted like 1 million Infinity models, but never actually played any games. And I spent Friday morning building an Infinity table out of stuff I got from the dollar store and like one of the wicked old terrain sets, like the flat pack ones. I think it was the one that came with the whatever the 2-player starter was that had the Spiral Core in it. I can't remember.
Started with Spiral Core. Spiral Core had its own starter.
Yeah, that's what, maybe it was the single player one. Yeah, but it had terrain in it, and I painted that. I basically just built that with stuff that came from the dollar store and played one game, and that was it. That's all I did. What about you guys?
We played a game against each other.
Yeah.
Did you guys play with your new Onyx?
Yeah. Well, I played 2 games with that Onyx list.
Nice. The all Unidron Onyx list. How'd it go?
Did good against Dan.
Yeah. What else is new?
Well, we played B-Pong, so I tried to go second even when I rolled first, so then I had to deploy first.
Okay.
It was annoying. And then I just couldn't win any dice rolls against his snipers. And his Cascuda did really, really good work on first turn. Just dropping in and killing a couple of my pieces, so yeah. And then I just lost because I couldn't do anything.
But
it's so frustrating facing fucking plasma snipers. It's insane. Because you're like, I gotta walk up with my team around this wall. And you're like, wait. But they have to be back like 3 inches so they don't get splattered.
Yeah. You had to face down the template madness. Plasma snipers are pretty legit, especially when you can support wear them.
And then even if you do get an okay battle against them, if they do hit you, you don't get any armor.
You get 1 armor, 1 BTS.
Well, no, you don't get cover, is what he means.
You don't get cover. Yeah. Sorry, what you said? I was like, what are you talking about?
You don't get any bonus armor.
No, you don't get any cover. Yeah, because you're getting hit with that weapon. Yeah, which is painful.
It's sort of mega marksmanship because they have marksmanship and they shoot templates.
Yeah, so it's the mod and the armor bonus go away basically.
Because I'm like, hey, I got a guy I got with 4 armor and 6 BTS. I can face that plasma. Like, not really, actually.
Yeah, you're living what you used to be able to get with like the template attack from boarding shotguns and spec snazzes, where it was AP and a template and ignoring cover. It was stupid. It was really stupid. It wasn't double action. It was still pretty great. Pardon?
Some people still have that.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I just mean the way the impact template worked with the shotgun back in the day. Before you laid it flat and you actually rolled a hit with it because you could actually cancel everybody's dodges and stuff, which was amazing. That's so good. You could bounce around corners. What was your other game on?
I played the same list again, playing B-Pong again against Tyler, who is one of the guys who plays in our area, and it felt bad the whole time. Like,
oh, no.
It was a weird game. He was playing Shazvasti against me, and we were playing B-Pong. He went first, and his so in my Unidron list, the Nexus is like the only lieutenant, and they always know it's going to be him. and he tried to speculo killer kill him. And in his like shot to kill me, I shoot him with like 8 guys, like a ton of them, and everybody misses, or he saves the saves. And
I wish you'd do that to me.
then he goes to kill my lieutenant, and I crit the dodge, so I don't get killed. And it just that was the start of the game.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And then I
You
couldn't
can't
kill
do anything with
him.
the
And
dice. Yeah.
I couldn't kill him, and then it kind of went back and forth. And at the end, I think it was something like 5-4.
No,
Or no,
it
no,
was like-
neither of us got to 5. That's
it was
right.
4-3.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awful. It was like he controlled the sides, but no one controlled the button. But then sometimes both of us controlled the sides.
Do you feel like that was a mission issue?
I mean, I've played B-Pong so many times now trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, do you feel like that close, like that like almost inevitable tie is like a mission issue?
I don't think it is usually, and that's the first time I've had it very close. Generally, in my experience, it's been one person just blows it out.
That's cool. You got like a 50-50 game then. You actually split the points, but it's a weird game. So I guess it's maybe like a statistical anomaly.
Could be.
What do you think about the Onyx in general? Like, have you played with any of the bigger pieces yet, like the Unitrons and the Zedrons?
I don't have Unitrons and Zeodrons, and in all fairness, I haven't played very much. So, like,
Yeah,
the problem I found is in the list building, where like it's like, oh, this is the list that I can bring.
Yeah.
Here's
They're very much
other
OSSS
list that I can bring.
Yeah, they're combined OSSS. There's only a couple lists.
I think OSS has more on the table than the Onyx team does. At least then you can do like bots or tags or not divas.
I don't think you can take that. You can't really take the tags. They don't fit that list. They fit more in the. You could maybe take the new one. You could take Maximus maybe. Is he?
I guess.
Yeah, he is. Root's just too spendy for that list.
That's probably true.
Like I've tried to fit the Murd in a bunch of times. It doesn't feel like it. It's weird because it feels like it should be the tag for the OSSS, but it fits way better in vanilla because it has access to like the net rods and stuff like that. Then you don't get access to that in OSSS. I don't think.
That sounds true.
Yeah,
that sounds true. I don't remember, but yeah, I don't know. All in all, I was kind of like, these are okay, and then I went back to painting nomads. It's been a weird week.
Yeah. What did you pay for nomads?
3 riot girls, 2 initiated, the new like special character lady. I worked on my stigmata, but then I realized that I messed up the color scheme because I was trying to remember how I did it before. And I thought I used a null oil and I was wrong. And so now I'm gonna have to go back and repaint him. 2 taskmasters, I don't know, a bunch of stuff. It's not done. It's one of those, the way I do it, where all of them are like in varying stages of completeness, but
right. It's more like it's more like you're in stage 2 of 3 or something like that.
Yeah, they're at stage 3. 2 out of 3 is probably a good example.
You're hitting the Bakunin, trying to get them finished. Is it what bar Yubara that you painted, Agatha?
I don't have Agatha.
You said new special character lady. I wasn't sure if you're talking about like Kusagi
it's the HVT one, the like mother of the observance or something like that.
Agatha Wabara.
She doesn't have a profile. She's just a thing.
Oh, the HVT mini. I thought you were talking about the box that came with what's his name? Robin Hook and the 2 characters.
Yeah, no, I don't have that one.
Gotcha.
It's just the like I'm gonna count as any of them characters I have.
Rando sister, the observance, the con model or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Did you manage to get any Yu Ching painted, Dan?
I've got some more progress done, just little bits here and there. I kind of organize everything into like ISS and the rest, and so I can just focus on getting that finished. But I have some semblance, and I think we talked about this. I got some bikinis, and I got some other things to kind of like flesh out what I wanted to do in a couple of ISS lists I was building. So yeah, so I have all the models. So I just need to paint them up. So I have been distracted by other painting projects, other things like Blood Bowl and Age of Sigmar.
Mhm.
Not playing, just painting.
Just painting
beautiful
big, cool models. Yeah.
Oh, so much fun. I'm like, oh, why are these things so
You got
expensive?
that new
Why is the
troll.
game?
Yeah.
Like, why is the game not as fun as other games? But dang, they know how to make good models.
But having an Orc and Goblin collection is your mission. So you have to get the big giant new troll model and get it painted. That makes sense.
Of course, of course. I was talking with Owen earlier, just when we were playing like other games or hanging out. And it was like, I never thought I'd like Infinity models. I've never disliked them, but I've never really liked them. I've never got like excited to paint them.
Right.
And I think I'm still at that point where I'm just not like, oh, let's paint this cool sci-fi guy, because that's just not my aesthetic I usually go for. But I'm learning to appreciate the Infinity models now when looking at like even at like other systems. Games Workshop kind of has it locked down, like they're all great models.
Yeah, so, and they have their own style too. Like they have their own sort of like
exactly, yeah,
style guide.
But like when I'm looking at other models or just not even comparing, just like looking at them, I'm like, there's a lot of cool detail on these guys, and I'm like,
it's true.
And I've definitely learned to appreciate the Infinity aesthetic and the Infinity models, especially the newer ones.
I think that the new Yuching stuff is really cool. Actually, the new reinforcement back for them with like the little drop bot and all the new helmet styles and stuff. Like it breaks up like the old kind of everything looked the same power armor look that they've had for a minute.
I had my first moment of, oh, these guys look sick. I'm excited to play these guys, and then I'm like, oh, they have bad rules. Dang it. Which I just haven't had in Infinity. I never really got excited about anything except for a couple tags, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Who had the bad rules? Who were you thinking of?
It was some of the reinforcement profiles. It was like the heavier looking guy. Let me see here. What were they? Oh yeah, they don't even stay on the box anymore.
Man, people are happy about that. The new boxes not having the name. Yeah, I was reading it online. There was one of the Facebook groups or one of the groups, they were talking about it and like how silly it is that it doesn't have the unit profiles.
Because it's like when you have like the picture of them, it's like you could just put a little white box and tell what it is.
Yeah.
Instead of have this like fully
there's like a QR code.
Yeah. But I mean the QR code will kind of put them superimposed on like a whatever background. But on the actual box, you have your fan art, whatever on the front, artwork, and on the back it shows all the models in like a posed thing on an actual table. To like look more immersed. But then all you have to do is like put little white boxes and put the names and put little arrows spoken to them, and you can keep most of the immersion there, and then just have it labeled. I don't know why they have to have it separate like that.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe they're trying to get the language off their packaging so they can have like multi-language packaging easily. But I'll be honest, I think from like a retailer point of view, even just like organizing your stock, you want to be able to know what stuff is without just using like pictograms and stuff.
But it's not because the QR code doesn't bring you to a multi-language setting.
Oh, I guess it doesn't. Well, it would take you to the site. If you're logged in, if you have a profile logged in, you'll have your language setting probably set. But I think they only have Spanish and English anyway, and maybe German.
I'm pretty sure it might be different for each package. I'm pretty
sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway.
But you're right. I agree. I preferred where you saw like even like the profile call outs. Like if you put the box on the side with the old boxes, it would say what the unit was and even what it was armed with. And I thought that was always super handy when I was like identifying stuff.
It was the
Hulang?
Huarangs.
The new Huarang?
Yeah.
Is it a heavy infantry?
I'm bringing it up right now. I thought it looked like heavy infantry, but I think they're only like medium or even light infantry. Fire team chart. Huarang reinforcement. No, they are heavy infantry.
You know the rules.
But they only have like they're like BS12. They're like cheap. They're discount heavy infantry. They're like 22.
They're like 1 wound, no wound in cap infantry.
I guess they have the combi rifle plus 2 damage. That's kind of fun.
That's
Oh,
a
they all
damage
have,
15 con
they
rifle. It's
all
pretty
have
cool.
explosive close combo weapons. Never mind.
I don't know. I like
think
them.
they're
It's pretty cheap.
the
What
more
they
I look
do.
at them,
Martial Arts 3
maybe-
stealth. I mean, they have frenzy, but they can link, can't they? In the
maybe I
reinforcements.
was
Yeah.
mixing it up with another rule. Never mind. I take it all back. These actually.
I quite like these guys. They're real heavy infantry with frenzy, shock immunity, martial arts 3, stealth, and courage.
And they're cheap.
Yeah, they're cheap because they have frenzy. You just got to keep it on a fire team. I don't know. I think that's a pretty baller profile. That profile.
Yeah. I guess maybe I was just sad that I couldn't actually play with them.
Right. Yeah. I'm hoping
Because
next
who plays
season
with
all that
reinforcements?
stuff just dumps into the regular list. Hopefully next year. Sweet. Well, it's time to dive into our favorite second segment, which is the Q&A. Thankfully, our viewers, our listeners, whatever, no, they're listeners, not viewers, Ash, Jesus, have refilled the question bucket, which is awesome. But this is the moment where I'm going to duck out because for those of you listening, I have like utterly lost my voice at HalCon this past week, and I'm struggling to even get this much out, and I'm in a great deal of pain. So I'm going to leave it to Owen and Dan, and they're going to freestyle this and imagine what my answers would be, and give them the ultimate freedom of recording the rest of this episode. So I'll let Owen and Dan take this away. And I'll say bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Go.
Son of a bitch.
Go.
Jesus.
I sound like I'm dying because I am.
The fuck off the air.
Oh my god. Just stop making me feel sick.
Just hit record to cloud. There we go. Okay, now I can leave. Because it just started processing the recording. So whatever you guys said after I left got lost.
We figured.
It'll go in the cloud. Okay. Night, guys.
All right, it says recording. There we go. All right, and it's still recording. Cool.
Wait, do you have the question up?
I do.
Okay.
All right, so the first one is from Brush Knight. Do you think Infinity lends itself to the quantity over quality way of thinking found in other games, i.e. Warhammer 40k? That is, running a lot of less expensive units with a lot of orders, or running a handful of more expensive units with fewer orders? Or do you think Infinity works best when there's a nice balance between the two?
Well, you don't get to do tons of orders anymore.
And you don't have the ability to do only just a handful of elite units either. There used to be times that was the case, I think. I think Infinity used to be able to do like a quantity has a quality all its own. And then the other side of that was the 10 order like superhero gang. But they got rid of the limited insertion defenses against being like having your order pool reduced. And then they also capped the total number of guys in a fight. And it's like, through these two things, you don't get a choice. You just play under 15 models.
Now, I mean, you've taken some successful lists with less than 10 or less than 15 models. Like they've been at like the 10 or 11 count.
Yeah.
Like when you were playing Pano with the double big tag, were you at 10 orders or 11 or 9?
I had a 10-man group.
Yeah, I guess you got a couple tackle warriors in there, but so it's possible.
That list doesn't even work anymore because the remotes lost their tack aware. They can't even run around to do objectives for the tags. Yeah, I don't know. I would say that no, generally you should try to get to 15, which requires you to bring a balance of low and higher tier units.
Last season with the tack aware button pusher bot, like it kind of made it easier to take a less order sometimes because you could have that person who could move 10 inches and go push buttons. And in some factions, they'd have climbing plus. So you're like, yeah, that's fine. But now it's like, you need orders really badly. But you can't, you just have to push to 15, I feel, in every list. And it feels bad when you don't hit 15. So to answer your question it's neither. It's a set number right now and has nothing to do with elite or anything.
Yeah. Does Infinity work best? I think Infinity works either way. But the current rule set and the last like couple years of game design has forced it to become a specific way. Because like I was okay with people who brought like a 20 and 25 man like list against my 10-man doom stack, because it was like it was what happens when you have your space marines fight guard or orcs, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna kill a whole wave, and then the other guy is like, haha, here comes my shitters, and then they eventually catch a space marine and kill him, and you're like, I did it. And like that was a different gameplay experience you just don't have anymore. Like it doesn't exist in Infinity, I should say. Like
I mean,
it
I
used
guess
to be.
there's
Yeah.
the question to be added of, okay, do you take some cheap shitters with elites, or do you just take all around guys?
Yeah. Do you do the 20-point average just across your army?
Right. But it's not. But it's funny because like the question is shitters or elite, and it's both in order to take either.
Right. Yeah. If you want either side of that, it requires you to bring the other side of it.
Yeah. So it's Infinities. I mean, that's the only Infinity I've ever experienced. But I'm curious what games would be like, and I would be excited about playing those kind of games if they took off that cap. It might create more problems. We've talked about this before on the podcast, but yeah.
There was a guy I used to play with who brought 10 Gakis and Praetas in every list as just throwaway, just chaff.
Because they're like what, 4 or 5 points or something?
Yeah, they're like 4 to 7 points. And so most of them would be the 4 points with a few sevens mixed in there. And then he'd run like a normal like 200-point 10-man group, which means that they're like 25 points average. So they were all pretty beefy in that group. But he'd always have this like back pocket of 10 guys that would just go and like find all the mines, and every now and again there'd be some guy who's in a hallway and he'd coordinate them and they'd all run at that guy, and you just can't kill them all, and they move 6-6, and it was a different feeling.
Yeah, that sounds fun actually.
Yeah, it's just different. And like you could argue about how like effective it was, because like a TR bot or just 2 dudes watching makes them all kind of hit a brick wall. They can't do objectives. Like there's a bunch of reasons, but it doesn't matter. You can't play that list anymore. I mean, arguably you could still bring 10 Gakis or Praetas, but it's no longer functional at all.
Yeah, like I accidentally bought 2 Quang Shi boxes or Kong Shi boxes or whatever, and they're 5 points each. So I'm like, I could bring 8 of them for no points. But then it's like none of them are objective pushers. So now all of a sudden the rest is like all the elite of the elite of the elite. And the list just kind of doesn't work. And it's kind of sad. And I just like stared at it for like hours. I'm like, how can I make this work? And then I'm like, I can't. I give up. I'll sell 4 to somebody else that wants them.
Yeah, use them as something else.
Yeah.
The life of many of the guys who used to be spammable or just other groups.
They actually work really well for the to hollow mask, hollow echo of the Canrons. You're like,
right,
look, it's 3 Guangxi with boarding shotguns. You know they're real. Do you believe?
Ash would say the game is perfectly fine. Next question. Nickel Bolus. If you were to give one profile a rework, what would you change about it and why? It could be for balance, utility, make it more unique, whatever reason. I'm deleting the other person's message too, by the way. Same for the models. The vast majority of Infinity models are excellent, but is there one in particular that you need to think that you need to read sculpt? So who would you change other than everyone we've ever talked about in all of our faction reviews?
All the complaining, all the let's go to 12 because I know 12 more. Who do I like that would just need a little bit of a touch up that I don't quite like the way they are?
Off the face of it, this one I have like a group that I'd like to see changed, and that is I want to rework all of the names and icons for the remotes in every faction.
Yeah, I've talked about this before.
Yeah, I know you have, and that's why we'll get that one out of the way, and then we'll go back to what the question is really asking. But the fucking everybody having all of the like the same name and same icon is just atrocious. But Nobody comes to mind off the top of your head in O12. Everyone's perfect.
I think the Gamma, because the Gamma seems like such a cool piece. It's like a mini tag for like 53 or 54 points, and you get a heavy machine gun or a Fearbach, and it's got BS14, it's got BS attack +1 burst, no wounding cap, immunity shot, courage, move 6/2, like all these cool things. Armor 6, BTS 6, 2 wounds, size 5. It's just like great, but then it just dies the melee, or you throw down a piece of smoke, and then you're just like, it's just done. And it's just because it's such an investment. I mean, it's like a tag thing, but it's not quite as durable as a tag, or the tag usually has more movement. It's like Shikush. It's like
he's a Shikush. He's arguably better because he has the +1 burst on an HMG.
You beat me to it. I was like, it's a Shikush level tag where it's like,
yeah. What model would I like to have a glow up? Let me tell you about my favorite model, the Shikush.
What could I do to fix it? I don't know. Maybe give it MSV1 or give it a higher CC. Like just give it like a no fail state CC, or even put it like to 23. So even if someone with martial arts came in and fought him, he'd have a no fail state kind of thing. Just like something simple that just gave it a higher chance. 16's also is relatively high, but with CC and Infinity, it's either all or nothing. The in between is kind of like that. Maybe if you have a really lucky roll, instead of like having a half decent chance, you know what I mean?
It's actually crazy to me now that I'm looking at the Gamma next to the Shikush, how the same they are.
Yeah. But
like the Shikush,
3 wounds and an unconscious, so it's basically one more level of unconscious. Or
he gets +1 damage, but he doesn't get the +1 burst, and I think +1 burst is way better than +1 damage.
Correct.
He gets a heavy flamethrower. The other guy doesn't.
No.
And then he has the other profile with the AP Spitfire and heavy flamethrower. And then he gains tack aware. He's 4 points more, but he has dodge -3 and gizmo kit -3, which the other guy doesn't. And otherwise, they're basically the same stat-wise.
That's true. I never realized the Gamma's good at dodging with his 14.
Yeah, and he's easy to heal too. Shoot medkits at that guy, bounce right back.
Yeah.
Problem is he goes no wounding gap, so he generally is like functioning and then not.
Yeah.
I guess when he's in the new wound.
Yeah.
We just shoot him when he's in no wounding cap. He's still in a null state at that point. He just ignores the effect.
Right.
I mean, but then do you do it because you might just kill yourself for why? Because he's still functioning, but
well, if someone's fighting, you don't go no wound cap, you just go unconscious and then you lay down.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. And then you can bounce him back.
Although you could just go no wound and cap and go prone. So it's kind of the same thing, and then you don't have to. So there's no real reason actually.
Yeah. But I would change the Shikush is who I would try and adjust. My case would be around the other. So like all of the other, what does Ash call them? There's a name for this, like the series of size 6, armor 6 tags. I don't know. He calls them something, but basically the whole group between like the Agamemnon, the other new guy that just came out, Maximus, and then even things like geckos and Xenodrons, they all have like a gimmick. Like the geckos are super tough, cheaply armed, and you can bring 4 of them and they can link into little gangs. Which is cool. Like there isn't another group. And the Unidrons are sort of the other side of the coin for that same squad of these group of size 6s. You of course have the Pano ones, who each one of them does its own cool thing, whether it's a marker state or mimetism climbing plus, or the new Squallows, who's all of those things sort of, but then he's like a pistol dual wielder and has a grenade launcher. Sure, there's a bunch of these things, and the stupid Shikush is just a gun platform. But like gun platforms are everywhere in this game.
At least you have a flamethrower.
I mean, yes, at least I have a flamethrower, so I'm the same as all the other tags.
That's actually one problem I have with the Zeta. The Zeta is an amazing tag, but like defensively, it's like you go on suppression and hope for the best. because all you have is a heavy riot stopper in close range, and I guess a heavy pistol. No, you don't even have a heavy pistol. Never mind. You don't have a pistol?
He doesn't have a pistol. Did I miss that?
I think I've cheated in games against you where I've used a pistol because I just
Oh, with the Zeta.
That's
No, I don't think you've made that mistake.
It's possible.
The Shikush doesn't have a pistol, and he's also a manned tag, which is a debuff too, compared to the remote presence ones. So yeah, I would. And what would I do to change him? I think he needs a movement. I think he needs climbing plus. And then keep him. You could keep him exactly the same and just give him climbing plus, and he still wouldn't be great. He'd still be trying to find out why he should exist compared to the Bokhtar and the Asawira. But he's like, I'm the extra wound version of those guys, and I have a little bit of climbing. That's my thing. And then there you go.
I like that. No, I think the Zeta needs like a light flamethrower. Like you don't like, but just give him something that if someone comes around the corner at him, he can do something besides try to goo gun.
I guess there's something to be said about the fact that he's 6'4" with climbing plus.
Yeah.
And so like if someone catches you, you deserve it. So you could have gotten away.
Should have been hanging out on the side of the building.
Right. Should have gone back to base.
But that's what I was also thinking for the Gamma, is if you give him a nanopulsar or a chain cold. Does it make him way better? Because he's got burst +1, so he gets 2 of them when he gets 1.
Right.
But I mean, like, he's not really taken at all. I'm sure there's people who take them and are like, I take them too. But people also take Shakushas, so.
I mean, people keep telling me that they're going to run the Shakush, but
they don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the Gamma just seems like too big I mean, the Zeta almost feels like a too big an investment, and it's an amazing piece. And so to bring the Gamma, it just doesn't feel like it has a place. And I don't even think it duos. So it definitely, nothing duos in freaking No 12. Except the Varangian and the Bronze and Bounty Hunters. So yeah, you give him a duo option or something like that, you know?
A little bit of something.
Just some little buffs here and there. And I think that's like general, like all these like pieces that you never see. It can just be like a tiny little buff or like that little thing that they don't exist. And then all of a sudden it's like, you still probably won't see them, but when you take them, it won't be feel bad. It's just kind of like whatever.
Right.
What was this?
All right.
The question? Aesthetic?
No, he was just saying, what would we rework? And it could be utility, balance, whatever.
I see.
So that we did it on balance.
I feel like they need to fix the tags weapons. Everyone's weapons are just so massive, and there's no. It's like damage +1. All right, make it 10% bigger, or like 8% bigger, not like 200% bigger. You know what I mean?
They used to not have any bonus, and that was always the joke. Was that these tags had these like HMGs the size of a person, and it was the same as being shot by just a guy holding his handgun. I have a heavy pistol. That's the same as that tag Spitfire.
Like I'm looking at this Salamandra here with this hypermagnetic cannon and this other massive gun on his back, and you're like, this guy should be able to blow up the whole world,
right?
But instead, it's like it kind of annoys me a lot.
I know it does.
Or like the massive swords when it's like a close combat weapon. Give them a knife. If they have a close combat weapon with no bonuses or whatever, give them a knife.
There was a time when if the model was armed with a sword, you should not go into melee with it because those guys were all good at melee. Like maybe they all had like varying degrees still. Like obviously like some of them were way better than others. But if your guy didn't have a sword, he probably shouldn't fight the guy who does. Was like a soft rule of thumb. I used to give that advice to new people. I don't do it anymore. It used to be kind of true, but now it's like completely incoherent where you have like the best fighters in the game are like a chain rifle guy.
I'm a digger.
Yeah, here comes the digger. I'm going to beat you to death. Hey, here comes Connolly. don't worry, he's linkable in other factions in Harris's and such. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
For the most part, though, I'm pretty happy. Like, there's obviously things could be better, but I think I just haven't played the game enough, and there's so much to explore and combinations. I'm not overly worried about any of it.
I mean, yeah, and you can also just play what you like. You don't have to hope that one day they'll change something to fit what you would like more. Like, as much as I might want the Shakush to get better and to have more of an identity within his faction rather than just I'm a Magariba guard for poor people. Like, make him do something cool. Give him climbing plus, even if it costs a little bit more. If he was 60 points, then he's got something. Anyway, let's move on. I think the next question already came up last week, and it might just still be in here. So it's Raven Strike 2009. I love painting Infinity miniatures, but can often struggle to get paint schemes together. Deciding colors, details, and all of that is hard. Because the models are so pretty, I want them to look good. Any tips on how to paint Infinity models better? We did this, right?
That sounds very familiar.
And then the primary advice was just do it.
Just fucking do it. Just paint your models. Stop being such a little bitch.
Yeah, I think that was essentially the message. Go to the color wheel, pick one, then turn the color wheel 90 degrees, and then that one, and paint it those two colors, and then add details.
Isn't it 180?
I don't remember. I thought it was 90 degrees. And you just degrees? Do it like it was like left turns to each other.
Oh, I mean, that probably works too.
I'm Googling it now.
Because complementary colors are opposite, but
no,
the primary colors are odd, and so the complementary color is like the combination of the other two colors.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's opposite. This is how focused I am on these things. Actually, I guess I don't usually go all the way. I'm always one step off. So like I do blue yellow or purple green, red blue. I've never done orange purple.
Orange purple is pretty cool.
Oh man, both of those colors are awful to paint.
Orange and purple?
Yeah.
Purple is not hard to paint. Purple pigment is like sits really nicely, I find.
I find that I'm always unable to get consistent layers. Like parts of it end up being much darker than other parts in ways I don't want them to be.
I mean, most of all my O12 is purple, and I never had any of such issues. When I was doing the yellow on top of them, yeah, then painting yellow sucks, but
see, I'm okay with yellow. Yellow's no problem at all.
The fact no one has fun with yellow.
Yellow is just yellow and then Agrax, and then you highlight yellow again, and you're done. It takes minutes. I painted that.
You have to paint yellow like 5 layers to make it look good.
No, you start with the yellow.
Over white?
Over white, or go all the way like I did with my... Oh, no, I didn't. I still did it over white. When I painted that Imperial Fist army that has literally never been seen by a person other than me.
It's true. I've only seen pictures.
Yeah, it is a theoretical army that will one day go on the table, but it's not even 1,000 points. It's like not even 1,500 points or something like that. Fucking Warhammer. But yeah, just yellow, Agrax, yellow a bit more, and you're done.
Well, what if you wanted something to look good?
What if I wanted it to look good? I don't know, man. That's not how I paint. Anyway, so we did that one already. So we have like another one here. I feel like we should do 2 more, but here. This one is Seer Doman, and this one is specifically for you and also specifically not for me. How does it feel to be a valued member of the podcast? /J.
I'm a valued member of the podcast? Ash and Owen never told me that. They treat me very differently. I don't know. I guess I've been involved with like mini wargaming since like before I met Owen, and just kind of like making online content and kind of being a part of the online community for a while. So it doesn't really feel like anything except hanging out with friends. So yeah, I don't know. It's not like, I mean, it's fun, but it's not like something special. It's just
you understand. You're Tackaware podcast person who hangs out with Ash from Guerrilla Miniature Games.
In fact, I actively try whenever someone mentions Guerrilla Miniature Games or Tacticaware podcast to talk shit about our podcast or Ash, as actively as I can, just because I find it funny to see if people get the joke, if they realize who I am online, or if they just come running to their defense. It just brings me joy. So that's how I feel.
Good show. Don't talk like that.
Ash is underrated. He does so much good work. I'm like, he's shit. It's so much fun.
So there is two more. Part of me says we should wait because we would need more questions in here. We should get more questions. But part of me feels that the joke question shouldn't be the final question.
Is that a joke question? I turned it into a joke question.
It literally had /J at the end of it. So, yes.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Do you want to end it on the joke question?
Yeah, I mean, what else are we going to talk about?
I mean, there's another. No, I don't mean end the podcast. We can talk about other stuff.
What are we supposed to? What do we have any idea what we're going to talk about now?
So the Japanese. Well, no, I was going to say there's another question here, and
yeah, that's fine. Oh, okay.
Or we could not, and then save them for next week.
I will let you choose. Follow your heart.
So that was what I was asking you. You fuck.
Yeah. I replied, I don't care.
Okay.
So
the Japanese. What's going on at Infinity right now? What's the thing? I'm waiting for cards so you can play the game.
Yeah, it would be nice to get those cards. It would be really nice to get those cards.
Apparently there is some place. I saw a guy make a post about it of
where you found some online?
Yeah, where he found them somewhere.
You probably already ordered them. But will they come before Century Box gets them? Yeah, our local game store is just bad at getting things. I think it's just a local distributor problem.
Yeah, he's been doing better. Still not great though. Still not great. I'm sure we'll get him in eventually. The one I really want is the the special scenario ones where it's like, how do you deploy and what are your missions? Like that's what I really want because I would like to see an event run using those. And I know I had said that it should all be the same, but I think it'd be neat if they were all random.
Oh, for sure.
Like table by table, that is.
I feel like deployment and stuff could be universal for everybody, but then the individual stuff could be randomized.
Well, the problem is I don't even know.
We don't know anything. So we
don't know what it is. Yeah. Like people
to be revisited later.
Yeah, yes. Come back to it. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to it in whatever amount of time until we're able to get those things. Ash probably fucking has them too. Knows all about it and just doesn't tell us.
Yeah, probably.
Sitting here looking like losers. So B-Pong. I know we already talked about B-Pong on a previous episode, but now you've played it a bunch of times.
It's a mission, all right. I find that.
Go ahead.
I mean, I've just had a poor experience recently because all of my missions have been. I try to. How do I explain this? The table is set up in a way that there's a really good sniper's nest, and I just didn't have the tools to get rid of the sniper, and then I just floundered around, never killing the sniper, and just slowly dying on my half of the table while struggling to figure out how to move. So that's kind of just been my experience in the last 4 or 5 games I've played, and I'm like, dang it. So either I got to insist on better table placement or just I need to be more patient in that if there's a sniper without MSV, I can lay down smoke, spend a bunch of orders, which is feels like wasting them, but then I'm not having these poor engagements where my gunfighter just dies and then I killed myself wasting a bunch of orders on my turn and then you get to go and I'm like, well, It's a 2v1 here as I join forces with you against me. You know, so it's just kind of, and then when you play B-Pong, I was just like, it's like, who cares about the mission at all when you can't even do anything? But in
Right.
regards to if I didn't have that issue when I was playing B-Pong, it's kind of, that's
See,
just the thing. It's like you just need to have like all the fire lanes and kind of suppress the board and gain board control. And if you can do that, you're going to win. And if not, then you lose. And it's just like a firefight with a couple things that you can push that you might score. That I think is mostly one sided.
you think it's mostly one-sided. I mean, I agree. It does sound like a lot of your problems, though, are I have trouble with snipers
Recently, yeah.
recently. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
usually I bring like a counter sniper. And so that now that I have a Dakini sniper in my list, I will have some way to counter snipe. But it's also just been, I think, bad dice where I'm like, we're both in good range. We're both hitting on 14s. I get 5 dice. You get 1. Or you get 2. I die. Okay. Well, on like the first roll, my guy just explodes. Neat. Moving on.
Yeah. Snipers, I hate snipers. I don't actually usually bring them either. It's only that one list that I collected that I was like, I'm going to try and run a sniper.
You have 2 snipers.
I know. Well, I don't ever bring one of anything. That's sort of my jam. But I find like I'd almost always rather have the HMG compared to the sniper. And then my counter to snipers is not another sniper. It's I brought a drop troop or infiltrator or some combination thereof, and that's how I deal with the enemy sniper.
And maybe this is just like an ISS issue, although I do have on order a Garuda, but I'll just proxy it otherwise. But he's been making it into a lot of my lists now as well, especially with. Because does B-Pong have the exclusion zone?
You bet it does.
Yeah. And so it's frustrating that like oh, I have a sniper, but you're like, but I have a guy that's infiltrated halfway up the board, and then he pops up and romps around the corner and goes go blam. But like with exclusion zone, you're just like pushed back away from each other. And there's a few people that have infiltrate or the whatever impersonation that can go in or whatever, but most people are stuck way back on their side of the board and they got to deal with it. And so it just kind of exacerbates the problem, which is why I kind of don't enjoy exclusion zones. But with the drop troop guaranteed coming in, and you'll always be able to find some place to bring them in. Yeah, I think I just need to embrace the drop troop mentality more.
They're real good right now.
Especially when it's a tag. And POW 4 damage 15 chain rifles.
Yeah. I'm actually really liking using the
Cascuda.
It has been pretty enjoyable because each game I brought him in, he hasn't done amazing. Like he's done enough. He's done his job, and that's as far as he gets each time. But
well, in our game, like he came in and was popping shots at my CN, and then I think I made him take like 3 saves, which you passed all of them, and then his CN went down, and then you killed my motorized bounty hunter, and then you started popping a bunch of shots at my Sujan. And then my Sujan luckily made some good dodges and whatever. But
and then killed him instantly.
I think you ended up taking like 5 to 6 saves with the Cascuda and made all of them. And so I was just like, he's not hurt at all. And then the Sujan was on no wounding cap. Luckily, I rolled a bit lucky there. But it kind of evened out with all the saves you were making. But then you just sat there staring at him. You're like, you want to activate? You're going to take 2 chain rifles.
Yeah, and then you did, and you shot me, and I died instantly.
But then it was like the heavy shotgun +1 burst, and then you just failed 3 saves, and he went unconscious. But then I died as well. So but if he would have survived, then I had nothing else that was going to be good at dislodging him with all the other snipers, whatever stuff looking at. And so then he would have done amazing if that Sujan hadn't have one-shot him.
I mean, yeah, it was
I guess he was already above average surviving with all the saves you'd made previously.
Yeah, I mean, you got also kind of lucky beating him on a bunch of those shots too. Like there was a lot of instances where it was like 2 dice on 11s versus 3 dice on 14s, and I just lost the face-to-face. And then it turned into just chain rifles against one another.
Yeah.
So I guess it goes kind of all the directions, but he did his job, which is mostly what I've been interested in, is that each fight he gets into, he has been pretty successful at winning.
Because how many points is he again?
Like 64.
That's pricey. But so size 7 tag. Does he have super jump?
Nope. This is where he gets really jank, is that he doesn't have any defensive tech and he doesn't have any mobility tech other than the drop. And he doesn't even have parachutists. You have to do him as a drop troop.
So really he's designed for this season combat jump on exclusion zone missions to go in, kill as much as you possibly can with the orders that you have, and then die. But hopefully die taking up 3, 4, 5 orders. And then you really do the job.
Yeah, as soon as the season ends, I don't know what he's going to do. Because, like, right now, the fact that you can guarantee his drop, and, like, I say that, and then I used him I rolled the dice on the last game I played. But his, like, I don't know. The fact that there's a risk that your 60+ point model will just end up in your deployment, maybe because he's a tag and he's real fast, it's not as bad, because at least that way he can run back up the board. But, like, I brought him to fall on you. He's supposed to be in your deployment right now. Being whip 12 with no ECM also sucks.
Oh, really?
So, like, hackers are really good against him, and it's still an era of always have a hacker.
Yeah, but I don't know. I find that I don't run into a lot of enemy hackers. Either they have a big hacking list and hacking that, but the vast majority of people just don't even have hackers, or they'll have one hacker.
So you're saying I should start playing you with more hackers?
Well, like, for example, when I was playing with 12, I was like, when I was bringing like 2 gangbusters in every list as killer hackers, and like 3 Kava hackers in the back, and like a cyber ghost that would like throw a picture, and he'd also be either a killer hacker or a hacker device plus or whatever. I'd be like, look at all my hacking abilities, and it's like sometimes there'd be a tag or heavy infantry to do something with. Otherwise, it was just irrelevant that I existed with hacking abilities, except to push buttons. And like that's the vast majority of my my O12 experience with bringing like 5 hackers every list.
You ever do the like missile bot thing? I don't even remember if you ever did.
Once or twice, and it was like against McMurder, and they go first, and he just runs across the board and kills it. I'm like, cool. This is a waste of time. I'm not bringing this missile bot anymore. No, I've had it useful a couple of times, but it just doesn't seem. I don't know.
Because your cyber ghosts get pictures.
I guess the missile bot isn't a huge investment. It's only like 16 points in 1 Swick.
Yeah, I think he's 1 Swick.
And so I think
1.5 Millicent.
So if you have extra Swick, which is a lot of my lists, then might as well, if you have a couple of hackers, bring them in.
Well, especially now that, like, because before he had to compete with the Okos, who were the repeater attack-aware bots, who are they were both 16 points. And it was like, oh, if I have like a few points that I can scrape around here and there to bring a 16-point guy instead of a 12-point guy, I'm going to bring the tackle wearer specialist guy. And now it's like, oh, he was actually garbage. I should just bring missiles because if he loses his tackle wearer, he's not a real boy.
Yeah, but I want to switch. I want to switch hard into Yujing and let O12 collect some dust for a little bit, just to make sure I'm playing a lot of the new stuff, or just to experience a different side of the game. And for hackers, I mean, they have a killer hacker and a regular hacker pheasant Imperial agent, which are not great. They're chain of command, but meh. And there's Zan Yings, which I don't know how they really fit. They can be linked with Wu Ming, but nobody seems to play them at all. They just seem outdated. Need an update. And there's Canrins, which we've all agreed are just not the greatest.
I mean, I don't know if we all agreed that, but you definitely think so.
You've said, yeah, they're terrible.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I think just one as a hacker or a killer hacker, if you bring because they can be advanced deploy a little bit, and although you're telegraphed exactly what they are, they never know if it's a hacker or a forward observer or a killer hacker, and so there are at least some kind of guesswork, or might slow them down a little bit if you can. Because I'm pretty sure we talked about it, but it was like with Hollow Mask, they don't all have to be standing or prone the same.
I don't think they do. That was my understanding as well.
Because when you move, they just all have to move at the same time, and like one could go prone, one could stand up, because they're all making move orders.
And they're not different states.
Yeah,
as I could understand it. But I don't know. Maybe somebody will correct us on that. It turns out they do all have to be standing.
yeah. But I mean, the idea is like one goes on a rooftop and the other two are watching corners, all within 8 inches of each other. So every single one could be valid. And then in the rare case that there is someone just watching a corner, if you do like a second move into them, then they just get to shoot you for free. It's like a commie rifle. Who cares? One guy has a boarding shotgun. Well, it could be a template actually, so that could be not bad. But yeah, whip 13. I guess the crane agents get whip 14, and they have BTS 6 and 2 wounds, so they're actually a decent hacker. But then you got
50 points.
But yeah. but he's a lot of points, like a lot, and so it's like you bring him as like a fighter with just a multi rifle. Multi rifles aren't bad, but you just gotta be close. But then as also a hacker, it just feels weird, you know what I mean? Like you don't have, I guess, a Deva. You could bring a Deva as a hacker because they're whip 15, and they have no wounding cap. They're a bit pricey at around 30. But
let me tell you about the Bereed.
Sorry?
So we're trying to figure out Yu Ching specifically?
Yeah, ISS.
Oh, that's right. You want to play ISS.
They just seem to not have. I think if you're bringing a bot, you'd want to bring a Deva, and then you want to bring some remotes. You probably really want to bring like a Lu Duan, which has the deployable repeater, and then can walk up. Are they repeaters as well?
Do you like how much of a tax the Celestial Guard pay to get that hacking device? When you compare them to the Kappas?
Gosh, it's ridiculous. That's why I didn't even mention them.
Where the Kappa's 12 points and half a swick, and then his base profile is 12 points, but the Celestial Guard is 13 points, goes to 18 points and half a swick in order to get that hacking device.
I think the issue is because they're whip 14.
Is one extra whip a 5-point increase?
I suppose.
I
6 point.
suppose.
6 point if you're comparing. I mean, the Kappa hackers are quite good. I think everyone can agree on that.
Yeah, but my point is just that within their own, like, the best part is because like people always get mad when you like compare things across factions. Where it's like, oh, the Kappa costs this much and has these skills, whereas this guy has these skills and costs this much. So like Kappas are 12 points, they get BS 12, but then they only get whip 13 and shock immune. But for them to turn into a hacker, it doesn't cost any extra points. It's just a half swig.
Right.
But then
they
you
do
go
drop
over
down to a
to
submachine gun instead of a combi rifle.
oh, there you go. Okay, so there is that. I missed that.
Yeah. But sometimes like submachine gun's better to suppress with. Because then you have a little like AP gun.
Right.
So
I like submachine guns quite a bit.
yeah,
If I had the
not
choice
bad.
between SMGs and combis, I actually usually would rather the SMG. If only because of the AP on it.
Yeah, it's just more diverse. You have to be up close, which means you're vulnerable to templates. But yeah, if you like coordinate suppress with like a bunch of little shitters with SMGs.
And they do get that points decrease, so you can afford it a little bit more.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but yeah, so Celestial Guard hacker. It's not terrible at whip 15, whip 14, but at 8, I think that's the most affordable hacker that's available to me. But then I just got to get a hacking net, and there's no great hacking. Does anyone
Repeaters,
I don't even think anyone
pictures.
has a picture in this faction.
Filter by picture.
I'm looking. I can't find it. It must not exist.
Well, there you go. You don't have a picture. You're not a hacking faction. That's just how it be.
Equipment or a weapon?
It is a weapon.
Doesn't matter. My equipment is all on one page.
They don't have it as a weapon?
No.
Well, there you go.
No picture.
There
So
you go.
then you'd want to take some remotes to run up. You get, let's see, who has a repeater? I can search by that. What is, oh, that's the toolbox spot. Yeah, I mean, if the toolbox spot still had the freaking tack aware, like it's not that bad because we can like run up and be a repeater and or a sensor.
I wish they had kept something, either the marksmanship or the tack aware, just one of those two skills, because I don't think they're good otherwise.
I mean,
At least that's my opinion.
There's still 6'4" guys that can push buttons.
Yeah, I get
They're
it.
only size 3, so it's like it's not bad. But the problem is that you got used to that of like, well, I can do this and it can do this thing and do this. That's kind of worth it. And now it's like, I don't know if that's worth it. Especially because the missions that you need tons of stuff, you can't activate things with remotes, like Civivac or whatever.
Right.
I guess that's just that one mission.
Yeah, and no one's ever going to do that mission.
Some people in our Discord were posting like, this is our event. We're playing with reinforcements and Civivac.
Yeah, we're playing evacuation.
Evacuation. Like, well,
I wish you the best, and I hope you have a wonderful time playing it.
Goodbye.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do that. Would I not go to an event if there was evacuation? I'd probably still go.
Oh, I'd 100% still go. I think it'd be fun to see just people struggle. I'd be struggling, but the other person's struggling too. So it's like, can I struggle less? I actually don't mind the mission because of that. Where it's like, well, I can't get 10 points, really, but no one can get 10 points, so it doesn't matter. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I'm not going to get my whatever 5 points. It's like, so? I guess the only thing is if someone stomps the other person, then it can be like a 10-0.
I don't think you can get to 10. I think you can have a 5-0.
This is too hard. This is too hard. But if anything, that's an argument for evacuation. in that if someone absolutely stomps your opponent, you don't. It doesn't like throw you so far ahead of them in the ranking. You're just 5-0 instead of a 10-0. It still sucks to be but if everyone just went up by 5, then it's not as bad. And in like a 5-person or 5 playing event, or even a 3 playing event, it doesn't really matter. But when it's like a 5 mission event, like
you're gonna have multiple undefeateds. Yeah,
you can even like lose your first game and then absolutely obliterate the next 4 games and do amazing and like not be in the running for first probably, but maybe.
I won an event having lost my first game once.
Well, there you go.
That Ash ran. He was doing it, and I lost my first round, and I was like, whatever. And I'm like, submarine time. And I just like annihilated my next 2 rounds. And then the 2 guys that were at the top tied. So they got the double loss essentially. And then the next closest guy had a minor win on his first round. And like it was like something like that. And then it went down to the second tiebreaker, which was just overall victory points. And because I lost my first round, but I still got like 6, and then I got 10-10, I was like, oh, I'm in first now.
I do like Infinity's
Tournament system.
The ITS point system for like tournament rank or whatever. It's sometimes it doesn't seem to make any sense with matchmaking, but other than that, it seems like you're always in the game somehow.
And you always control it. Like I hate strength of schedule. I really do. And like I remember all the War Machine guys being like, oh, but it's the best system it's a terrible system, but it's the only one that works or something like that. I'm like, no, there's another game over there that has a perfectly good system. Like, we don't have to keep doing this. I'm telling you, it's not all that. The fact that my ability can win an event is tied directly to whether or not the guy on table 6 resigns or concedes his match is ridiculous. Oh, well, just don't lose any mission, ever at all. Fair enough.
It's your fault if you lose.
It is. Thankfully, in these dice games, it's never the dice. You're just a bad player.
I mean, that's more true in Infinity than most other games.
That is true. More true.
Yeah.
More true. I don't know. I don't have anything else to talk about.
Me either. What is the next model you're going to paint?
More Bakunin. I don't know which.
You don't paint per model, so
yeah, I don't paint models like that. So
I paint that. I'm going to paint my Sujan next.
Yeah.
I've said this for like 2 weeks, and I got distracted and painted other things. I'm assembling like 6 stone trolls right now because they came in the box with the other big troll. So might as well. I'm like, should I just try to resell them? I'm like, let's build them up, paint them up, and try to sell them as a painted army. You've had some success with that, like selling old shit.
Yeah. I have a lot of stuff that I had sold and now have reacquired a bunch of stuff and could sell other stuff. And like sometimes I do it.
You've got some pretty good prices on stuff you sold too.
Yeah. A lot of it was really big. And the other thing is like, especially for 40K, like if you sell armies and they're fully painted and based and like, I'm not the best painter, but I paint well enough.
Oh yeah, you're fine. Like it's not like you look at your army and it's poorly painted. It's just a painted army.
Yeah. It's certainly we're going to win the paintage competition, but it's one of those you can put it all down.
Mine will never win a painted competition either. So
yeah. Oh, I mean, even the like everyone vote on your favorite painted. That's as far as I'm talking.
Yeah, mine will also never win.
But it's good enough, and so you paint like a decent sized army, and they're based and painted, and they have their little highlights and whatnot, and it's all uniform. People buy those, like they eat them right up, because it's not like those. Do you remember what they're called, like the eBay listings of like
pro painted?
But not the ones that are like quote unquote pro painted, where it's just some guy who paints like I do or worse and calls it pro painted.
Oh, that's
I
what I
mean
was.
the ones like the like ITS or DPS or like there's some like letter an acronym. Um and they sell individual like 40K units for hundreds of dollars a piece
Oh
because
yeah,
they're
yeah.
painted like that.
I don't know how those sell at all.
Neither do I. But that just goes to show that there is an audience out there for it. But for me, I'd rather sell like, hey, here's an entire army ready to go. And you could add it on to your army because it could just be like another detachment. So it doesn't do anything to kind of like mess you up. But like that's where I think of it. Or you could just have it as its own army. And I'll usually, when I sell an army, give whoever's bought it the paint combo. Like if you want to add more or like repaint your army to match this one, here's the like you do this plus this plus this. But it's usually pretty easy because that's my paint schemes. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, I really haven't sold much at all. But it's like there's some things where I'm like maybe after I finish painting this troll army, I'll play it once or twice and then I'll sell it. And I just had fun painting it. I'm like, otherwise it's just gonna like I had a ton of fun painting it, but now it's just gonna collect dust in my closet.
Let me tell you about stuff collecting dust.
I always thought I used to have a lot of models, and then I saw half your collection and realized I don't have a lot of models,
Wild.
even though I just collected like the entirety of the Eugene faction.
And it's like, cool. I too have the entirety of the Eugene faction.
You do not.
I do not. I do not. It is the only Infinity army that I don't have to some capacity, is any of the Yu-Ching stuff. I guess arguably, oh, I have a Zeta, so I guess I do have some O12. But I have a Toha army. I have all the other ones, and I cannot. I don't know. I'm going through some really bad like faction ADD right now.
Clearly.
There's nothing that like stands out to me as being like a fun thing. Which unfortunately, this is where I was when I stopped playing last time. Where I was like, I don't know what I want to do in this game anymore.
You're not like
So
excited about anything in particular.
yeah, there's no faction. Like it's for a while, it's been just like two tag gimmick again and again. But which version of it can I pull? And try and push it as far as you can until I finally start losing reliably with it.
Kushi Kush.
I have two Shikushas.
I know you do.
I mean,
You're
I
just not thinking
guess.
you'd have fun playing it.
Well, the problem is like they're just heavy infantry guys, right?
Yeah, they're
Like
not fun models to play with.
they're not even really tags. Like they're just a heavy infantry guy.
Because like yeah, like well the last like double tag tournament list, it's like you're playing Yodems, which have the insanely high armor, so that you get to the point where you're like, I'm gonna shoot him with a combi just in case. And you're like, actually, that does nothing.
I ignore you.
You're like,
And
you can
yeah,
roll dice if you like.
or like I played the double stigmata, which was just a proxy, or the one that I liked and I should probably play more of was the Starco one with the two anacondas and trip hammer Harris.
Oh yeah,
Like that was fun. That's a funny, wacky list. But like those are all fun and wacky things, and they're like middling success, or you just happen to get away with it a few times. But I've definitely lost like the double Magriba guard lost a couple times. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is that I like Infinity. I like playing Infinity. And then I've started recently, like I'm sitting there looking at the list builder and being like, what do I want to play? And it's just like incoherent. Like what is it that I'm which one of these would stand out? I'm kind of tempted to get into one of the Pano factions, having only really played military orders.
all right, listeners, into the the question bag or something. Write some challenges for Owen. And he'll probably ignore you all, but then he'll probably figure out something else to try. But we need that spark. We need to reignite the fire of infinity in Owen's gameplay. Do we actually? Who cares? But, you know, if you have nothing else to do, you listen to this podcast, it means you're probably already bored. So
It's true, especially if you got this far into this one. You got past the hour 20 part. You deserve it.
I feel like I'm just rambling now. So we could probably.
I'm definitely just rambling.
Let's. I think we're just gonna call this short and go play Age of Empires 4.
Yeah. So those Japanese, I'm excited. They come out in 2 weeks.
I don't like the Japanese because they look super aggro.
Yeah.
And it's like
I don't think it's super aggro. I think they
would excel if you're going aggro play.
The crossbows being on horses is hilarious.
You don't get
see that?
Yeah.
You get crossbow horses.
Right. And
yeah, that's just...
range. So basically you get horse archers that are effectively crossbows.
Right. I mean, it replaces your crossbow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm. But that means they won't get the bonus towards light, which all the other archers do.
Right.
Who cares?
But you're going to need to be coherent about that, right? Whereas, like, normally you don't have to worry as much in that regard because it's like, oh, horse archers, they're not good against my knights and men at arms. Whereas these guys are going to be like, hey, French knight, blam, 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 blam.
Yeah, kiting would be hilarious. Assuming they're fixed like the camels were fixed. But anyways, that's enough of that. Ash?
Is it?
What would Ash say at this point?
Leave your comments down below. Thank you for watching.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he says other stuff. I don't know. I've actually never really paid attention.
Start zoning out until it says recording stopped.
Yeah. People start saying bye. Things are happening.
All right. Yeah. Fill the mailbag.
Yeah. Fill the mailbag.
There's no wrong questions, but there sure are stupid ones. And with that, we bid you good night or good morning or whatever. Goodbye.
I don't know what button to press.
I'm just going to leave the meeting.